This is Art Television.
Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
UHD quality video streaming, internet like a boss, SLT Mobitel Fiber,
IWS Aviation.
Meet your work and learn targets. Get 30 GB Meet Lite for just 195 rupees and 100 GB Meet Max for 490 rupees. Log on to My SLT app to activate SLT Mobitel.
A very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Mariam Vijayaratna. Let's have a look at the headlines first. Central Bank presents steps taken to improve the domestic forex market. Sri Lanka receives 3.1 ton Indonesian medical aid package. News in detail. CBSL Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe requests all Sri Lankans to make their import-related transactions via the banking system instead of going through informal transactions such as Hawala and Nundial. Addressing the media this evening, the central bank chief said that the government will officially ban such transactions within a period of 2 weeks.
අලුතෙන් එන සර්කුලර් එකේ මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ඉම්පෝර්ට් එක්ස්පෝර්ට් කන්ට්‍රෝල් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් ඉම්පෝර්ට් කන්ට්‍රෝල් එක්ස්පෝර්ට් කන්ට්‍රෝල් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ ඒ රෙගුලේෂන් එක ඒගොල්ලෝ පනතano ඉම්පෝර්ට් ඇන්ඩ් එක්ස්පෝර්ට් කන්ට්‍රෝල් ඇක්ට් එක යටතේ පුළුවන් නිකුත් කරන්න චක්‍රලේඛනයක්. එතෙන්දී ඒ විදියට එන ආනයන යම්කිසි කාල සීමාවක් දීලා එතනින් පස්සට ඒව තහනම් කරනවා. එතකොට ඒ කාලයෙන් පස්සේ මීට පස්සේ රට ඇතුළත තියෙන සීලුම ආනයන වලට සහතිකයක් දෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ සඳහා මුදල් ගෙවීම බැංකු ක්‍රමය තුලින්ම පමණයි කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න කියන ක්‍රමවේදය තමයි දැන් සකස් කරන්න යන්නේ. ඒතර බැංකු ක්‍රමයට පිටතින් මුදල් ගෙවලා ආනයන කරොත් ඒක අපේ කස්ටමර් එකෙන් ක්ලියර් කරලා ගන්න බෑ. එහෙම ආනයන කරන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ ක්‍රමවේදයක් නැහැ ඒකට. ඒතර සීලුම ආනයන වලට මුදල් ගෙවීම ඉදිරියට මේ සර්කුලර් එක ඉෂුව කරාට පස්සේ අද කරන්න වෙන්නේ බැංකු ක්‍රමය තුලින්මයි. ඒක තමයි මේ සර්කුලර් එකේ අරමුණ.
CBSL Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe told media today that the government has already commenced technical discussions with the IMF for an extended fund facility program. The CBL's chief explained that initially we need to receive the staff level agreement and that this would be achieved within a period of 2 months.
දැන් අපි ගිහිල්ලා සාකච්ඡා කරලා බැලුවාම අපිට තේරුණේ IMF එකේ there's this facility called rapid financial instrument that was introduced in response to COVID in 2020 by the IMF, and at that time we made the request but it was not proceeded because the government did not agree to the restructuring at that point. That was stopped at that point. Now because we are making a progress, we have made another request because that is a easier facility because RFI does not require any kind of structural reforms, policy, macro policy, this thing, no condition attached. If they basically recognize this emergency funding assistance, emergency funding need for a member country, then they can disperse within a very short period of time. So we have made the request. That has been considered. But again, in the existing rules, there is a rule which says any member country to access any kind of facility, you need to have certain kind of assurance that debt is going to be sustainable. That's why we made that request. On the basis we are making a progress on the debt restructuring. We are going to make our debt sustainable. On that basis, we have made the request. But I can't say whether it will be given because obviously extended fund facility, we are clearly, that is something more relevant for Sri Lanka with the policy, macro policy program as well as the structural reforms.
The government of Indonesia has worked with health officials and its pharmaceutical industry to provide 3.1 tons of humanitarian aid to Sri Lanka, consisting of $1.6 million of essential medicines and medical equipment. The aid is to reach Sri Lanka in 2 batches. The first shipment arrived on Thursday, the 28th of April 2022 on Sri Lankan Airlines from Jakarta. The balance is to arrive on Sunday, the 8th of May 2022. Minister of Foreign Affairs Professor G.L. Piris received Ambassador of Indonesia Dewi Gaslina Tobing at the Foreign Ministry on 27 April 2022, who provided an update on the humanitarian aid to Sri Lanka from the government of Indonesia. Ambassador Tobing said that following the request for essential medicines and medical equipment from the Ministry of Health of Sri Lanka, the government of Indonesia, in consultation with Ministry of Health of Sri Lanka and the representative office of the World Health Organization in Indonesia, worked with health officials and its pharmaceutical industry to secure humanitarian aid valued at 517.5 million rupees for Sri Lanka. The ambassador informed the minister that following the Ministry of Health appeal, Indonesian officials said that the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry in 10 days marshalled to donate items for the speedy dispatch of aid, and in view of its long-standing close friendship were pleased to support Sri Lanka at its time of need. Foreign Minister Piris conveyed to the ambassador the deep appreciation of the government of Sri Lanka for the generous donation of humanitarian aid from the government of Indonesia. The minister also noted he looked forward to welcoming his counterpart later in the year to commemorate the 70th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Indonesia and Sri Lanka. Upon receiving the first batch of aid yesterday, Minister of Health Professor Channa Jayasumana, while addressing the press, took the opportunity to thank Indonesian government for this timely donation.
Today we received a donation from the government of Indonesia worth 1.6 million US dollars, or in Sri Lankan rupees it's about 570 million of Sri Lankan rupees, worth pharmaceuticals and surgical items. We made the request about 2 weeks ago. The government of Indonesia very rapidly responded for our request. On behalf of the government of Sri Lanka and the people of Sri Lanka, I would like to thank Her Excellency Dewi Tobing, the Indonesian ambassador to Sri Lanka, for her coordination and excellent work done to get down this donation to Sri Lanka in a very short period of time. And at the same time, I would like to thank World Health Organization, our country representative Alk Singh. She has done excellent work in coordination of the whole process, and I hope she will help us in further donation from several other countries and also directly from the WHO. These medicines especially will be used for the cancer patients and will be used in surgical wards. Some of the essential items which were short during the last couple of weeks, now we can fulfill the gap as we received this medicine this evening. So I'm again thanks to the government of Indonesia and the people of Indonesia for this donation. And also I would like to remind that this is we are celebrating the 70th anniversary of the diplomatic relationship between Sri Lanka and Indonesia. We have been long-standing friends for centuries, and this will further strengthen our excellent friendship throughout the history.
We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Meet your work and learn targets. Get 30 GB Meet Lite for just 195 rupees and 100 GB Meet Max for 490 rupees. Log on to My SLT app to activate. SLT Mobitel.
Welcome back after the break. Sri Lanka invites British companies to collaborate with the Port City project and invest in Sri Lanka's education sector. Sri Lankan investors who joined the online session expressed their willingness for joint business opportunities with foreign investors. The High Commission of Sri Lanka in London, in partnership with the CHEC Port City Colombo Private Limited and the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, organised a presentation on investment opportunities in education and finance sectors in the Port City Colombo project to UK investors last Tuesday at the High Commission premises. Delivering the welcome address, the High Commission of Sri Lanka to the United Kingdom, Saroja Sirisena, highlighted that the education sector in Sri Lanka has a structure and framework coherent with the British education system. She also added that Sri Lanka's education system has always been a catalyst in strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries. The High Commissioner of Sri Lanka also invited British companies to partner in brand education in Sri Lanka. Speaking at the event, Deputy Chair of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, Sir Hugo Swire, urged British companies to collaborate with and invest in Sri Lanka. Deputy Chair of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, Sir Hugo Swire, also stated that CWEIC wishes to closely work with Sri Lanka to help gain the investment recognition that it deserves. Assistant Managing Director of the CHEC Port City Colombo, Tulsi Alavihara, who joined the event virtually from Colombo, presented an overview of the Port City project and its specifics. He also gave an update on the progress of Port City construction. The Port City is the only waterfront planned city with modern facilities in Asia and the investment opportunities that it offers. Speaking at the event, Gateway Group Chairman Dr. Harsha Allah stated that they hope to partner with a British school to establish an international school in the Port City, aligning with British systems and ethos to cater to the South Asian region and beyond. Tourist arrivals have plunged by 50% in April so far in comparison to March. This is largely attributed to the current economic and social unrest. Provisional data released by the Tourism Ministry shows arrivals fell by 48% to 55,590 in the first 26 days of April. In contrast to March, attracted a record of 106,500 tourists. Industry experts pointed out that the plunge was due to the government declaring a state of emergency following the protests in Mirihana, which ignited countrywide protests demanding the administration to step down amidst worsening economic. The latest data shows that year-to-date tourist arrivals total 340,924, which was due to the peaceful period from January to March. The industry has already surpassed 2021's 194,500 arrivals, and expectations were for a quick rebound in 2022. However, it is notable that daily average arrivals have dropped significantly from over 3,600 to 2,148 as of 26th April, which is much lower than the second week's midpoint figure of 2,535 tourists. Last month, Sri Lanka's monthly tourist arrivals crossed the 100,000 for the first time in 2 years, providing industry stakeholders with hope that there would be a post-pandemic revival. As of 26 April, the UK topped tourist traffic to Sri Lanka with 10,327 arrivals, followed by India with 7,900 and Germany with 5,756. In addition, tourists were also received from France, Australia, Russia, Canada, US, Switzerland and the Netherlands. India stands strong as the top tourist source market for Sri Lanka with a cumulative of 55,611 arrivals, followed closely by UK's 41,319 and Russia's 40,883. While external debt restructuring remains a priority for the government, domestic debt in the form of government securities and SLDBs will not be restructured, CBSL Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said yesterday. Noting that progress was made towards a macro-fiscal policy framework and initiating structural reforms, he expressed confidence on a staff-level IMF agreement within the next 2 months. Dr. Veerasinghe made these comments while addressing a meeting of the committee of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, during which he also provided an update on the progress made during the recent discussions with the International Monetary Fund and World Bank last week. Dr. Veerasinghe also announced that additional measures will be implemented in order to address urgent economic concerns. The measures include introducing regulations to encourage US dollar flows currently transacting in the informal market to be channeled through the formal banking system. As a result of policy measures already introduced by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka and the government, he is of the view that expenditure on imports will decline further to more sustainable levels. The governor also highlighted the need to strengthen the social safety net with the rising cost of living. To this effect, multilateral agencies such as the World Bank will be looking to reallocate funds committed for projects towards assisting vulnerable segments of the population, he stated. While expediting IMF negotiations and implementing sustainable economic policy reforms being the main priority, he added that IMF action will continue irrespective of the political landscape and also stressed that all creditors will be treated equally in the debt restructuring process. Finally, the governor sought the assistance of the private sector in successfully implementing measures to stabilize the economy. We'll be right back with the stock updates.
Meet your work and learn targets. Get 30 GB Meet Lite for just 195 rupees and 100 GB Meet Max for 490 rupees. Log on to My SLT app to activate. SLT Mobitel.
Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all share price index gained 12.83 points to close at 7,624.26, and the S&P SL20 gained 5.51 points to close at 2,509.24. The turnover was 2.4 billion rupees and over 120 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. That's all we have for tonight. Have a great weekend. Good night.
State of Business was sponsored by
UHD quality video streaming, internet like a boss. SLT Mobitel Fiber.
IWS Aviation.